Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Graf, and I'm the Communications and Marketing Manager of Better Moments. Welcome to our second Better Moments webinar. It's amazing to see so many people joining tonight. And I would encourage you to use the chat tool and share your name and location so that we can see where in the world you are from. As you all know, traveling is not possible at the moment, so our goal is to take our passion for photography to the screen and share it with all of you, no matter where you are. And tonight it's Arne Hodalič, the photo editor-in-chief of National Geographic Slovenia, who will share his best advice about traveling with flash equipment. I can already hint at the fact that we will be running workshops in Cuba and Slovenia with Arne and our partner ProPhoto next year. And those workshops will be based on the very same concept, which is using flash for portrait photography while traveling. But we will get back to that later. For this webinar, we would like to encourage you to ask questions via the chat tool. You can find it in the bottom right corner of your screen. If it's not there, you may find it in the menu at the top of the screen. After the webinar, we will have a little Q&A session with Arne, who will answer the questions you ask. So without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Better Moments expert Arne Hodalič and his presentation. Have fun.
Okay, great. Thanks, Laura. Thanks for the introduction. I will try to do this webinar as best as possible, as best as I can, I hope. And I hope you will like it. So I would just start because we have a lot of things to see. So I will go to the first slide. Just a second, something doesn't work. Okay. Since it's a worldwide seminar, I will say just a few things about my work for the people that they don't know me and they don't know my photography. As Laura said, I'm a National Geographic photographer since 2007. That was my first article in the USA National Geographic. And for 15 years now, I'm photo editor of National Geographic Slovenia, which is a local edition of National Geographic. And I'm also a Nikon ambassador, so you will know about which equipment we'll talk. Okay, so I started my professional career in '88, and it was a really abrupt start because I went to India at that time. These are the photos from then. They are all made on film, of course. There was no sign of digital at that time. And I went a bit of traveling. I was an amateur photographer, or like wannabe photographer, but still nothing serious. And I went to India. I traveled on Ganges River, rent a boat, stuff like that. And I did some photos. These are the photos, 32 years old photos. And when I came back to Europe, one of the top European magazines saw the pictures. And they said, wow, we like the pictures, we'll buy it. They pay very good money at that time. And they said, where do you want to go next? Wow, first assignment. And I did 22 assignments for them. Shortly later, I moved to Paris and I worked for the biggest agencies, photo agencies in Paris. And that's how my career started. So India is still my love. I go practically every year there. This is a new photo. It's not from that time. This is already digital. And I always go, as I said, practically every year. And I find India one of the most photogenic places on Earth for several reasons. We will not discuss this today, maybe some other time if we prepare something else. But okay, so India is, of course, it's a beautiful country, but it's, of course, a sad and poor country, both. It's a very complex country, actually. So I did a lot of nice pictures you saw before, and also a lot of tragedy pictures, a lot of social issues, which I will show later. So social issues, war also, I've been doing for some time. I mean, this is Gaza and Israeli-Gaza conflict. A couple of years ago, I did those stories. It was about killing kids. So this is, for example, another social issue. I was smuggled in the Afghani prison in Kabul, which was quite a risky job to do, but I managed to take out some photos. Also, this was one of the biggest tragedies I attended. It was in 2005, the huge earthquake in Pakistan, 100,000 dead, 3.5 million displaced, and I did this for the Red Cross. Balkan War is also something that really influenced, not influenced, I got sick out of it because I was a Yugoslav at that time. It was my country, so it was a war in my country. So this I tried to help. This was Srebrenica funeral. You can imagine how you feel when you are practically standing in the grave when they put coffins in, as a photographer. And then I decided at that time that I will take photos of demining all around the world for free. That is my contribution to the world, whatever world. And I'm doing it since 18 years. I'm doing this free of charge pro bono photos of demining, and also refugee camps. This one is in Congo, North Kivu, dangerous place. This one is in Western Sahara, lately, not that long ago. I covered also the story of refugees going from Greece to Hungary and Europe later. Another social story, which it was really awarded quite a lot. It's a story about Roma people, gypsies, we can call them, in Slovenia, and their living conditions, which are, as you can see by yourself, quite tough. So it was a very tough assignment. So now I will show black and white photos, starting with the Robert Frank. Of course, probably many of you know him. He's one of the fathers of photography, I would say, and that's his quote: "Black and white are the colors of photography." Although I work for National Geographic, which is definitely most of the time color, I really enjoy working in black and white. I did, and I'm still doing it. And by the way, I'm teaching history of photojournalism on 2 universities, and I have quite a good overview about the authors, that they are like iconic authors of photography. And I basically, during my workshops, even in foreign countries when we go, or whatever, India, Cuba, whatever, I give lectures on some of those photographers. Why? Because I believe that these old masters of photography are a very good inspiration for your own work. Not that just you see them, but you kind of feel them, and this is inspiration for the work, for your work on the field. So there are some from different countries. Iran, for example, just Iran again. India, as I said, my beloved country. India again. This is just a selection. Yemen, we cannot go there anymore after, now it's 5 years. Yemen still. South America, Guatemala, and Cuba. Cuba was been many times to Cuba. We are also we did organize a workshop there, and we will again with Better Moments. But these special photos were like homage to film. It was done already when I worked normally with digital, but I went to say goodbye to my beloved 3x Kodak black and white film, and that was actually my last project on the on the film. Some pictures photos from Cuba. I do a lot of underwater. It's actually my passion. Some of my best stories were archaeological stories. best-selling stories, I can say, and also the first story that I published in National Geographic America was an underwater story about archaeology. So I do a lot of archaeology, underwater, plus normal underwater photos. This is, I do a lot of cave diving as well. So I love to take pictures in caves, cave diving. This is in Hungary, very interesting cave in Hungary. And also a lot of cave photography. Okay, so now you have a bit of maybe understanding what do I do, what you can ask me also, and my life story, photography life story, not my personal life story. And now we go to the workshop that we were announcing, how to travel with flash equipment. The answer is here. It's hard. That is us with two friends going to Namibia, and this is our luggage. Not luggage. My luggage is maybe 3 t-shirts, but the rest is tripods, cameras, strobes, and stuff like that. So some basic rules for portrait photography. So a lot of people ask me if how this is actually one of the first questions when they see my portraits. Do you ask people? Do you ask people if they're ready that they're taking photos? Do you ask them for the permission to take photos? I mean, I'm talking about foreign countries. You walk somewhere, and do you ask for the permission? And here is my answer.
When you have to shoot, don't talk.
Okay, so this was a bit of a joke that you are still alive on your screens. Yes, it's shoot, but not with the gun. Shoot with camera, of course. This photo, I put it here. Why? Because this was taken in Varanasi on the Burning Ghats, where it's strictly forbidden to take photos already outside. If you go in the temple, where there is a very small temple on the burning ground, where they burn bodies, and if you've been there, you probably saw it. It's even 100 times more forbidden to take pictures inside. How you can achieve, of course, not like I was saying before, but with respect. Respect, of course, if the people, they don't want to take pictures of, I smile, I go away, I apologize, and that's it. But how you take a picture like this, if you would walk in with the camera, you would get beaten, definitely, because there are more people from the people that are dead outside and stuff like that. So it's very tense, sad and tense situation. But this picture, for example, I've been there for an hour, not taking pictures, with my camera in the bag, and kind of get familiar with people. They kind of start to appreciate me because I was respecting their religious rights. And after an hour, I took the camera out and I did a few pictures. I said goodbye, thank you. And they said, thank you for taking pictures, and I left. So, of course, some pictures are posed, of course, but not all. This, I will show you some pictures that it would be really stupid if you would ask here, everybody would look at you. So you have to do it, not secretly, you just don't ask. Stuff like that, you don't ask. You go there and take a picture. If she's not ready to take pictures, or if he's against it, or he's showing it, then of course you have to respect people's integrity, and you don't take pictures, of course. Stuff like this. This is not posed. He came, he offered the tea, I took a picture, and that's it. Same here. You can see that the people are not looking at the camera like they are looking at the post portraits. So now I will go first a little about the portrait in natural light, and then we will upgrade this to strobe photography. Of course, you have to understand the natural light first, and then you can go on that. So the picture, it's, as you can see, it's a horrible picture. and I always say to my students or to my colleagues that they travel with me on workshops, I said, sun is the worst enemy of the photographer. Of course, this is bad. I will put it like this. I will show you. You can see it here. Too high ISO, 2,000th of a second, which is much too, and absolutely everything is wrong here. But why I'm showing you this EXIF file here? Because of this. I was here working on a workshop in Burma, in Myanmar, and I saw this lady, and I have a couple of guys with me taking pictures, and I said, lady, can you please move to what I want you to move? So you can see here, it was just 1 minute between, and this is the picture you can get. Why? Because she was standing in the shadow, she got reflected light from the ground up to the face, and that is like a good, good normal portrait. And the portrait before, of course, was a pure horror. So I always do this. I always use the light reflected from the floor, like here. This is from the floor, and this is from the door. So you get one light like this, and the other one like that from this direction, and you have a nice, soft, beautiful light on the face. Same here, as you can see it here. If I will enlarge it, you can see me here photographing, and you can also see what is very important: the street. This is in Yemen. It was a very sunny day, but he was sitting in the shadow. So all the light reflected from, most of the light was reflected from the bottom, from the ground. Maybe, yeah, of course, the basic rules of portrait photography is sharpness in the eyes. If the eyes are not sharp, you can just delete, you know. And also, that's a very good advice I will give you. If you think that the eyes are maybe not sharp enough, they are not sharp enough, delete, you know. And of course, the blurred backgrounds. Again, here, you can see the same thing. You know, you can see me photographing here, but you can see also the sand, nearly whitish sand, which reflects the light from the ground. And you can see here, there are absolutely no shadows if the light will be coming from above, from the sun. Of course, sun is pure horror, of course, but you can see it nicely here. I will show you some portraits with studio strobes. We'll start with studio strobes on location, and they were all done for National Geographic. National Geographic has a section in the magazine which is called Voices, which is actually an interview, of important people for whatever reason they are important. So I will show you some first of all, some basic equipment that I work with. I work, as Laura said, I work for years already now with Profoto, that is a Swedish producer of flashlights. And I have, of course, several of them. Some are battery powered, of course, because you have to be on location, you will see later. And some are normal electricity powered to use them or in the studio or on locations where there is power available. Sorry, this is my basic tool, basic equipment, a softbox. The bigger it is, the better it is. Of course, softbox you can fold, they're foldable, and because everything, all the pictures here you will see, not one was done in the studio. Everything was on location, but location may be outside or inside. But I had to move, which means fold the equipment, put it in the car, take it out, and again the same process vice versa when you go home. I use a lot of grid. This is a soft grid. And this is when softbox, this is softbox, octagonal softbox. And when you have a soft light, sometimes you need to channelize it. You don't want that the light is like spread all around. So you use the soft grid. I use a lot of beauty dish, which is a stronger light, that a bit harsher, a bit harder on the face and stuff like that. But when you don't have enough light, that is a perfect tool because it really gives a lot of light. It really shines. Using a lot of grids. In ProPhoto, they have 5, 10, and 20% grids, which means that you can control the beam of your light, which is coming out of the strobe. And zoom reflectors. Of course, this is essential piece of equipment. And this we will talk quite some things about gel filters, any kind of filters, but yeah, they have practical set of gel filters, which I use a lot. Okay, so now let's go to the National Geographic portraits. All those portraits were done in cooperation with my colleague, Katja Bidowitz, which is, you will see later also, I think you will see her on some pictures, but basically she's a very, very talented photographer. That's how we met. And we start to work studio projects together. And yeah, so you have to know for all of these pictures, they should be done, of course, in raw format. This is normal, that's no question about, but the raw format should always be available because National Geographic standards are quite high for post-production. So you cannot add things, remove things from the photos. Of course, you can post-product a bit, you know, colors, hue, stuff like that. But you should, if there would be, I don't know, a garbage can here, you are not allowed to take it off in Photoshop. Example, this is a very interesting picture because without a strobe, you wouldn't do it. If I show you the EXIF file, you would be amazed. 12 seconds. So who can hold 12 seconds? Not many people, that they are sharp. He is perfectly sharp, as you can see it here, like really perfectly sharp. So how this was done? Okay, something went wrong. Okay, he's a scientist for electron stuff like that. So he was, for 12 seconds, he was drawing with a small marker. He was drawing these electrons floating through the air, and then at the end of the exposure, just a small flash from the side. And of course, before he was in the dark, you could see only this. With the flash, you could see him. So he was lightened in a 1,000th of a second. Another scientist, he was a rector. I don't know how you call it in English, rector, dean of the university. So it's a kind of embarrassing if you want, but he's for water pollution. He's responsible for lecturing about water pollution, and he's a specialist for water pollution. So the title was, his interview was Problems with Water. So we had to do something original. So we were pouring water over his head, and without the flash strobe, you wouldn't be able to do this. This is how it was done. One strobe here, another strobe here, with the blue gel, which I was talking before, a yellow gel, you can see it even here, I think. Yeah, you can see it here, yellowish, on the strobe. And then what you do, very important advice, and then you change your white balance settings to more bluish. And because of the yellow strobe here, his face is normal color, because yellow and blue, they kind of, in combination of yellow and blue, it's white. So if we go back, he is kind of normal color, and the background is bluish. because of two gels and as I said, white balance settings. It's very important. So now on location with better moments. As I said, we've been already in Cuba once, and this is what we did. That is a portrait, like a stage portrait. Of course, you can see the stage portrait, and these are the participants of the workshop. Remember this strobe here, and we had only 2 battery powered strobes. And the final picture is this. That's my picture. I didn't do a lot because when I have workshops, I don't take pictures, basically, not much, because this is the participants' time to take pictures. But still, I did this one, and you can see 2 strobes here. One is the softbox that you saw here. This one, you see his eyes, and another one is here in the background. Otherwise, this background would be a black hole. And you can see the shadows. As I said before, you look the shadows and the reflection. The shadow here, you see from the direction of the light, the backlight was like this. And I used also quite a long exposure, 1/20th of a second. But with the strobe, it's no problem because you kind of freeze the moment with strobe. It really makes it sharper. Why 20 seconds? To get this, it wouldn't be a problem to go to 2000 to 250th of a second or even higher in these days. But you wouldn't get this light in the light that they use in that room. Okay, so now coming soon, we are organizing, as Laura said, a workshop in Slovenia, which is a fantastic country. When we will start to travel, I hope you will join us. It's a perfect country to have fun, to have nice traveling, and also at the end you have some good photos. This is the most iconic spot of Slovenia. This is we will travel around. It's a very small country, so you can just see it in a couple of days, and then you have a lot of time to take pictures. This will do this as well. Strobes, as I said, that is the goal. This is not a daylight; it's a strobe outside his workshop, and colored strobes here. You can see it, I think here, yeah, and some reflection on the sword, and another one here. You can see it here. You can see the light is coming from this side. Okay, we'll do a caving session in a complete darkness. It's very interesting how to take pictures in the really complete darkness with strobes. Same thing. You will go to the same cave, and practically, I mean, most of the participants will have the same pictures because we will set up. So now I'm going to vanishing cultures. This is the last story project of today that we did with Katja, and this is basically the thing that we wanted to show you, how you take strobes in a very remote locations. We are doing a vanishing culture project. There are 4 locations. There will be 4 locations. One is Ethiopia, one is Namibia, refugees in Western Sahara, and Arunachal Pradesh in India. Maybe here is a time to say that individual photo is, we always say National Geographic, we always say it's very easy to get a good photo, and it's extremely hard to get a good story, which means a good story is a selection of many good photos. So you have to have this in mind when you start shooting something, or if it's travel, it's travel. But this project was targeted very specifically on the vanishing cultures of this planet. These are expensive projects, so it's very hard. We are financing it by ourselves, which is sometimes very, very hard. So that's why only 4. I would like to have them 40, but it's not easy to finance this kind of expensive stuff. Each location we prepare at home. We prepare the background. We kind of exercise the lighting that we will use on the field. but because then it goes faster. That's my cat taking care that everything is okay, painted the background. That background was for Western Sahara people. Okay, so taking this kind of sensitive and of course very expensive equipment, it's not easy. It's not easy. And if you want to go really far, if you want to see people that, I mean, cultures, ethnic groups that are not immediately available by every tourist, you have to take some risk. And of course, it costs money. This is our driver in Ethiopia. He was all the time in a desperate mode, and I was just worried, but we had some nice accidents, and all the equipment in this moment is still in the car. And then it's like 4 or 5 meters, not more, ditch behind the car. But imagine what it would be if the car would roll. Probably my cameras would be gone. This is illegal crossing of Mauritanian border. This is Katia here, with the militia groups from refugee camps of Algeria. So very hard stuff, very hard project, and we did it. This is a river crossing in India, in Arunachal Pradesh. As you can see, the bags, maybe you notice this yellow, and the equipment is inside, and the cameras are all the time on my back, or in my lap in the car, just to make amortization of the movement. I don't know. So it's essential to have equipment in a very good professional bag. This is not just splash proof, this is waterproof. This, you can throw it in the water and the water will not come in. So this is for the strobes, for the sensitive electronic equipment, and also bags like this that are kind of splash proof. Also, they would float for some time. This is for tripods, tents, and all the gear that can get wet, but it's not really good, but can get wet. So sometimes you have to carry everything on your backs, which is very annoying. We go to places that there are absolutely no hotels. We stay with the locals. The two of us, with 2 friends, we go together often with these 2 friends. You will see later. First you have to camp with them, to be with them, and then you have to take pictures of them. And it's sometimes it's very emotional, and in both ways. Sometimes the people are not happy, sometimes you are not happy, but sometimes you have a lot of rewards just by taking pictures. So on location, it's like this. I will start maybe first with Ethiopia. It was the first project that I did, Omo River. Christian is very familiar with it, and you saw probably his last presentation last Sunday, I think it was. These are just normal travel pictures, nothing special. How we work on location. So we set up a tent, sometimes 2-3 times a day. All the backgrounds, the strobes. Why this? Because you have to control the light. The sun, as I said, is the worst enemy. So you have to have a kind of black environment, dark, at least the darkest possible, and then you create your own light. I will show you why. Okay, so you get this kind of pictures. If I show you the EXIF file, you will see this is still our old project Nikon D810. Now I'm working, of course, with the new one. But check this: ISO 100, 8 aperture, and 1/250th of a second. This is synchronization. I'm using mostly 105, 2.8, and lately, luckily, 105 mil and 1.4 lens, which is incredible portrait lens. You will see later the photos. At that time, I didn't have access to that lens. So why? I will show you shortly why. Why this? Because you get fantastic quality. You get a perfect quality. I'm talking about sharpness, depth of field, and the light as well, of course, plus the background that you want. For example, here, if if you check this, I mean, it's just amazing. And you will see later the enlargement that you can do. For example, this is the portrait. I will show you the details of this portrait, just to that you see. And the next, this is, we did a couple of really huge exhibitions of those portraits. And this is the print. And this is a small print. You can make it 3 times bigger and you won't see a pixel. You will see only sharpness everywhere. We are quality freaks, and that's why we do this kind of projects. What we do is very important for you when you're listening to this. What we do is we always leave, we don't touch the people in a way that we would change the dresses, ask them to take something off or something. They are always the same as they come to the studio, if this, you can call it studio, remote studio, whatever. Here you can see this. It would be nice. You could ask the guy, please put the bracelets of your colleague here. They are metal, they are traditional. It would look nicer, but we don't want to do that. We want, he had these plastic tubes from water pipes, but he has a plastic tube. That's him. That's his culture. So they're all like they came to the studio. Nothing is dressed up, nothing is taken, nothing is added. For example, I really like this, the Ethiopian beer, the decoration of the Ethiopian beer. But if you can, again, if you see the quality is just mind-blowing quality. So India, a bit different. This is there are 3 borders, Tibet, Bhutan, Burma, Myanmar, and India. It's a place where they produce a lot of opium, you will see later. So there's some pictures from there. And now, a very short video to get the feeling of how we work, where we go, how we do it. That's opium. That's opium if you burning of the opium before smoking it. Next, slish. Opium again. Okay. Okay, so why no tent here? That's why. That's Katya in the studio. Why? I will show you why. Because during the process of this, when we do this project, Profoto came with a fantastic new feature of their strobes, which is called hypersync, high sync, whatever, hypersync, and you can see it here. 1/1500th of a second, which was absolutely impossible before. 250th of a second was the limit of flash synchronization, probably you know. But now you can synchronize it with much higher speed, up to 8,000th of a second. And you see here ISO 31, aperture, and the new 1.5 mil and 1.4 aperture lens. And it is amazing quality. So, for example, this guy here, it was done with 1/500th of a second, as you can see it here, 64 ISO. And why? Very simple. because with that high speed, with that high aperture speed, exposure time, you get complete darkness if you don't use the strobes, because you have a normal available light, you try not to shoot it in a very light environment. And if you would shoot it without the strobe, it would be total darkness, which means that's actually your tent. We don't have to take care. We don't have to carry tent with us anymore because of this feature. And you can do, and then you create your own light in this darkness of very high exposure speed. Same thing. One point. This is 300 of a second, which wouldn't be possible before. Again, 350th of a second. So, and again, of course, the quality is like it is. So Namibia, not so long ago, a bit of Namibia, of course, 2-3 pictures. These are normal travel pictures, as I said before. And basically, a lot of people, they see Himbas in Namibia, but you will see why we try to do it differently. Okay. So the Himbas you can see everywhere, even at the airport in Windhoek. But to see real Himbas, you have to go far. You have to go to Angola border, Hartmans Valley, Marienfluss Valley. You have to cross Van Zyl Pass. You have to cross Van Zyl Pass, yeah, that's a normal situation on the road, you know. Like this, and I did several times a day if you're in the right region. So we had fun with that as well. But don't forget, this is not an adventure, it's a photo project. You will see later, these are ostriches just crossing the road. There were elephants when we came to one quite remote actually place. And the elephants just destroyed the whole place because they destroyed the water supply. They were so thirsty. They completely demolished the whole camp. And if some people, if you know wild animals, you know that this is before charging the bull, a mother actually, with the legs and the ears. It's a sign, don't come close. And you will see why, because she had a very, very nice calf with her. So there are just adventures on the road. But actually why I'm showing you this mostly because of this. When you take a car in Windhoek, you have to sign that you won't go here. And all the insurances are stopped here. If something goes wrong, you have to pay everything by yourself. So we go always to these kind of remote places. 4 people, 2 cars. If something really goes wrong, you go in one car and you kind of escape. You know, and of course you have more spare tires. You puncture them all the time. You will see when it's a really bad place to drive. It's like this. One has to go out. I'm out and my friend is driving, and then my car, it was vice versa. You have to show to the driver where to go, because otherwise you would definitely destroy the car. You know, now I'm driving and he's showing me the way, because this goes in centimeters. If you want to do this kind of trips, you have to be ready. You have to be ready for that. And I hope that the people that they rent cars in Windhoek, they are not watching this video in this moment, because probably we won't get the cars anymore there. So when you go through this kind of ordeal, then you're really rewarded with fantastic views, fantastic villages that practically not visited by travelers, even not by tourists, of course not, but even by travelers. And again, we set up always a studio. The people were coming, and we took pictures. They were just, as I said before, nothing added, nothing taken away. What I would really like that you observe is the quality of the light you can see on video, which is actually a bad quality of light, and then you see the photo. The photo is something completely different because you control your own light. That is the beauty of working with strobes on location. I'm still here. I'm talking too much, maybe just relax a bit and watch. Yeah, and now we will slowly come to the last episode. Okay. So now maybe it's time to explain a bit. You can see again 45 degrees, apparently 45 degrees to the person. One that was a beauty dish, octa with soft grid here, and very important here is the grid on the third strobe for a rim light, backlight on the person. So see, Katja was taking pictures because she was like 2 meters tall, and but please notice the light. The light is really a horrible light during the, I don't know, it was maybe 11, 12. You cannot control this. Sometimes, of course, you have to work in the morning and in the evening. But if you have a limited amount of time, which is limited actually by the money, you have to do it during the day as well. So this is a horrible, horrible light. But when you will see the picture of her, this is the picture done at that moment that Katja is taking a picture. Is this? This is something completely different, and that, sorry, then that's what we want to do with this project. And you have more rim light here and different background as well, because reddish is the color of Namibia. This is not Himba, this is Hakaone tribe, very remote and mostly living in Angola. I said this, it would be very easy to ask the mother, please take these shoes off because it's not really traditional shoes. But no, we want exactly that, how they live and what they wear now. These are Bushmans, and then now Himbas. Again, if you look at the quality, you just, yeah. So the last story, just a couple of minutes more. This is the refugee camps in Algeria. We traveled, as I said before, to Mauritania, and we took pictures of nomads of Western Sahara, which are definitely, their culture is vanishing because they are blocked by the Morocco occupying forces, and they're the traditional routes through the desert. And of course, with that, the knowledge how to survive in the desert is slowly vanishing. And the new, I mean, the youngs, they wouldn't survive the desert anymore. Definitely not. So in a couple of years, the whole knowledge, the whole tradition will be lost. Again, we go back to photos. One big softbox here, octa soft grid, and here, not yet, when later we put the grid on, probably not yet here. So the 3 lights, like classical 3 lights for the nomads. This is already the new camera, and the quality is even better when you see this. This is the D850. If you have Nikon, you will know what I'm talking about. And those are the very traditional nomad dress. The women are dressed in blackish, this kind of goldish black robes. Okay, so I would say today's lecture was more or less introduction. If you would come to the workshop, of course you have to, you listen this, you can understand, you don't understand some things, but basically you have to try. And when we do workshops, of course, it's the emphasis is on practicing the techniques that we learn in this classroom. So that's it. I was a bit long. I hope not. So I will probably try to answer now some of the questions. So I will first read the question. They came through chat. What is the minimum light equipment for travel do you recommend? Well, the minimum, if you want to do that kind of photos, like studio photos, actually these are studio photos, it's definitely 3 lights. As you could see, most of the photos were done with 2 softbox from the front and 1 from the back, and then of course you need 3 plus 2 tripods for the background, so it's 5 tripods, at least 5 tripods to do the set. As you could see, probably I'm not taking shots from the tripod. We are doing it in a handheld camera, of course, because you have very high synchronization speed. You don't. I mean, you move, but you don't see it on the picture. So next question. I understand for removing or adjusting parts of photos. What about skin retouch? Yeah, a very good question. I'm very lucky here because Katja is actually a professor for Photoshop on the University for Communication Skills. So she's really perfect in retouching. And of course, we don't, as I said before, we don't remove with the NG portrait. These are NG portraits. This was a question for the NG portraits for the rest of the audience. So as I said before, nothing is removed, nothing is added, of course, but the post-production is huge. You have to balance the color of the skin. You have to sometimes adjust the foreground, background, the tonality of the foreground. You have to work quite a lot on the eyes to get the real shine out of the eyes. Of course, nothing, again, nothing adding, nothing. It's just layers, color grading, and this is all allowed, of course. It's all allowed. And by the way, Katja is always going with us to workshops. So if somebody wants to have some more knowledge about photo retouching, she's there always. Again, another question about NG portraits. Do you tell them exactly how to pose, or or do you just tell them stand here or hold this? No, the NG portraits, as you saw, they are not only well posed and prepared, they're also well prepared in advance. I Googled the person. I learned as much as possible about him, and then trying to get an idea. You know, for example, the guy when you were pouring water over his head. Of course, it was an idea before, so everything was done in advance. And of course, they have to follow certain instructions that you can do the follow. They are definitely, of course, posed and guided how they should kind of be, what kind of position they should be. Another question, how about speed lights and shoots through umbrellas? Do you use them on your shoots? They are as light as it gets. Exactly. It is a very good question and a very good remark. we use quite a lot of umbrellas in normal studio. I mean, in studio. And I'm not very fond of umbrellas on the field for two reasons. If you use it to shoot through umbrella, which means that you have a transparent umbrella and you shoot through, you have a very nice soft light. The problem is you lose a lot of light, and since you are in a environment that is quite lit up, something in Africa or everywhere in the tropics or wherever, you need every watt second of a strobe, so you lose a lot. If you do it the opposite, that you shoot inside the umbrella and the umbrella is just reflecting, it's the silver umbrella with the black surface on the back, I don't really like that light. It's a bit hard. It's a bit hard. We were doing it from the first project in Ethiopia, but we were not happy with the results. So now we are doing only with soft boxes, and you can control the light much better than with the umbrella. But basically, because of the power, you have battery power. You don't have unlimited source of light. Okay, again, how usable are small strobes? Small strobes are extremely usable. Maybe not for the work here. You have to have plenty of them. I would also, as you saw the pictures when I was presenting my or our work in that workshop when they were taking stuff out and the laboratories, there are always some of the small strobes set on manual and on slave mode, so you can lit up small things. And of course, you if you have a lot of them, you can do practically the same pictures as with this one, with those the battery powered the studio flashes, but you have to have more of them, and it's much more complicated, much more complicated. But they're of course usable. Look, yeah, another question. Do you have any problem checking equipment on airline? Yes, of course. You always have this problem. Of course, the tripods and stuff which is not breakable as the cameras are checked luggage. You know, are under. I mean, in the luggage compartment of the plane. But sometimes we have problems with hand luggage. We pretend that it's very light, but it's not, and we kind of try to smuggle every possible way as much as possible in the hand luggage. Sometimes we have each from 30 to 40 kilos of hand luggage packed in a small bags, so you can take it and they don't really look suspicious. So far, never had a real problem with it. Many thanks. Somebody was right. Okay, another question. Do you count on autofocus on your camera to get sharp images? Absolutely, yes. Basically, what we do with these portraits on location, I select this field where the camera is focusing, and I always put it on the eyes, and that then it's okay. I mean, basically all the pictures are sharp. I mean, all the pictures are sharp and the eyes are sharp, which is the most important thing in the portrait. Okay, so another question. Realistically, most of us cannot travel with the amount of equipment that you can carry on your project for Nat Geo or other magazines. What would be your recommendation of lightweight, high-speed sync or strobe to bring for travel for an average photographer? That's a good question, and I have quite a good answer. It's first of all, you have a problem because it's it's expensive stuff. But what I would do, I would definitely buy A10, A10 strobes from Profoto. They are fantastic. They are small. They have the same power as B1 or B2, that I'm using, and they're much more lightweight. So 3 strobes would fit in practically in a normal, a bit bigger, of course, than a normal bag for photo equipment. And with 3 strobes, plus some soft boxes, which you can fold, and you are totally on the same level of equipment as we are doing when we are traveling. Unfortunately, they are very expensive, so I still don't have them. Maybe soon, I hope. Okay, the last question. How powerful lights you use? You use them at full power? Not at all at full power. The B1 is a bigger one, and it's 500 watt seconds. And B2, you have a small battery pack and 2 strobe heads. So actually, we are carrying a bigger strobe battery. This is B1, and battery pack with 2 heads. And each of these 2 heads has 250 watt seconds. So they are very powerful. Of course, if you compare them with the small strobes that you put on your camera, like handheld strobes. Yeah, I think this is the answer. Also, we don't use them at full power. Maybe the main flash, you start with full power, and then you reduce the other flash, because you need a lot of basic light, which is basically coming, as I said before, as I showed, 45 degrees from the person, a bit higher up, as big as possible softbox. Then you put at full power, and then the rest you adapt. The backlight, the rim light, and the second light, which I use mostly from more beneath not underground, but more from the ground level. So we have kind of crosses of light. The first light is high, second one is low. They're both targeting in the face, and then the back, from the back. So that was the last question. So now I would like to ask Laura to finish this.
Of course. Arne, thank you so much for sharing your work and advice with us tonight. As we have mentioned, we have 2 more Better Moments workshops coming up with Arne next year in cooperation with ProPhoto. They will take place in Slovenia and Cuba. And for the latter, we actually have a special offer for everyone who participated in our webinar tonight. So if you join us, you will receive a 10% discount on the workshop price.
Me too.
Let's see about that. As it's very important to mention these days, you will also receive a full refund on the workshop price if we have to cancel due to coronavirus. So you should not worry about that. If you want to sign up for any of our workshops, you can do so on our website. And before we all go back to enjoying our Sunday morning, afternoon, or evening, I would like to mention just a few more organizational things. First of all, we will send out a link to the recording of the webinar so you can rewatch it later. And as we mentioned before, we will host further webinars with our Better Moments experts. The next one will be on April 19 with photographer and filmmaker Hamid Zadar, who will tell about his travels through Mongolia. So it would be great if you would join for this webinar as well. You can sign up in the same place you signed up for this one. As always, make sure to check your inbox as we will announce more details in our next newsletter. If you haven't signed up yet, then do so. And that's it from me. Any last words, Arne?
No, not really. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope we see each other on one of the workshops. That's it.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, then thanks everyone for joining us. I hope you learned something new today.
On my part.
And we hope to see you again for our next webinar on April 19. Bye-bye.